Shadow of a Doubt follows a young woman called Charlie who absolutely adores the uncle she was named after. When Uncle Charlie says that he's going to come for a visit, he's going to come stay for a while, she's absolutely over the moon. However, the longer he stays, the more she kind of starts to realise that this man might not be all he's cracked up to be and may in fact be a killer. Now, of all the films that Alfred Hitchcock directed, this was apparently his favourite. And while I don't quite share those sentiments, I can understand why. It is a very good film. First of all, unlike the previous film that I reviewed in this series, Saboteur, it has two excellent performances. Teresa Wright and Joseph Cotton, who played both these Charlies, are absolutely brilliant. To see the journey that this young Charlie goes on is really something quite pleasantly surprising, it must be said. You know, to see her go from this fresh-faced, dewy-eyed young woman who looks to her uncle with total adoration, to slowly changing across the course of the film, towards the end of the film where she has a look of hatred for him in her eyes. It's a really great piece of character development, a journey that this character goes on. Joseph Cotton as Uncle Charlie as well, a magnetic presence, it must be said, and I love the way he plays it. Just one particular scene at a dinner table when this little speech comes out of him, he just can't help himself, and you start to see this real hatred he has towards women, particularly, well, a particular class of woman really, the kind that he preys on, and it just kind of spews out of him, it pours out of him, but he has this absolute stillness about him. You know, he doesn't over egg it, he doesn't go full blown, he just remains really still while this venom just kind of creeps out of his mouth, and the way he plays it is really menacing, really creepy, and yeah, fantastic performance from both him and Teresa Wright. The whole movie is really a kind of be careful what you wish for morality tale, and it shows us two people who on the surface are very similar, but how underneath one of them something very dark lies beneath. It shows us that true horror can come from anywhere. You know, like you look at this guy, he seems to have come from a very nice family, a sister who loves him and adores him, seemed to have a pretty good head on his shoulders, but for whatever reason he's taken a dark turn. You know, it's a choice that he's made. He looks at the world, doesn't like what he sees, and he retaliates in a way, in the darkest way possible. And young Charlie, at the start of the film, she desperately wants to get out of her hometown. She finds it boring, dull, it's sucking the life out of her. There's just no excitement there. And Uncle Charlie, he brings that excitement to her, or at least she thinks he will, and he does, but it's the wrong kind of excitement. It's the kind of excitement she wishes she could take back. And you feel that by the end of the film she has a new appreciation for the town that she lives in, the home that she has, the family that she has. Hitchcock finds a lot of places to inject humour as well, and that kind of heightens the more horrific moments. I mean, this isn't, you know, we're not talking Silence of the Lambs style horror here. It's not full on in a modern sense, but it's still very dark. It's still menacing. There's a lot of tension involved because you don't know where it's going to go. But like I say, Hitchcock puts humour in it, and he does this partly through the character played by Henry Travis, who's the father of young Charlie, and his friend played by Hume Cronin. And the two of them have this banter throughout the film in which they talk to each other about the ways they could get away with murdering one another. You know, they're always throwing this back and two. And it's amusing, but on the flip side of that, you know that actually Uncle Charlie has thought these things through many times and has actually gotten away with it as well. Up until now at any rate, in which he's now being pursued by the law. The banter that these two guys have as well almost feels like a precursor to Hitchcock's next film in this series, Rope, in which two guys literally do that. They commit a murder just for the sake of seeing if they can get away with it. You know, so again, you see the building blocks for Hitchcock here for future films, as well as seeing stuff in here from previous works that he's made. If I have a criticism with the film, I would say it's probably the score. I think sometimes it just gets far too dramatic for no apparent reason. I noticed it right at the start, and then it kind of, it happened many times throughout where the music gets really loud, really dramatic, and I'm kind of sat there thinking, all that's happening is somebody's walking across the street. That music isn't quite called for. There is also a romantic subplot that develops between young Charlie and one of the investigating officers of this, and it feels like maybe a little forced in there, maybe didn't need to go down that route, but it doesn't, it's not terrible. I don't look at it and cringe or anything, but I do feel like maybe it was unnecessary. Although it does give young Charlie someone to confide in, someone to talk about this thing with, because she can't tell her own mother, because she's the sister, I should say, of this man. She doesn't want to upset her. So yeah, it does give us that person that she can confide in. I just don't think they needed to go down the route of making these two love interests. Despite those two minor criticisms, I must say this is a very good film indeed, a very good thriller, cracking performances and wonderful camera work throughout. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and I can highly recommend it. If you've seen Shadow of a Doubt, I'd like to know what you thought about it, so please leave your comments down below. Please don't forget to check out my Facebook, Twitter and Letterboxd at Brian Lomax, and also feel free to check out my Patreon page, in which there's loads of wonderful perks for people who wish to support this channel. Thank you for watching, and until next time, crack in.